All right, good evening, church, friends, and it's good to be with you even through Facebook. I'm glad maybe you tuning in right now. Maybe you're going to watch this on a replay after a while, or maybe later this week. But that's fine and that's good too. Hope this brings a little bit of encouragement to you this evening, this week also, in between Sunday services. And so here we try to come together and just for a little bit of encouragement, a little update about what's going on at the church as well, and what we're going to be doing ministry-wise, doing some outreach. With Sunday we talked about fishing. We talked about casting nets and fishing for not fish, but fishing for men. So my question for you is, do you have your fishing pole ready, and are your nets ready? Are you ready to fish? Now let me explain to you the neighbor-to-neighbor community outreach that I'm talking about doing. May the 1st is May Day, and tradition says, and I don't know where this tradition comes from or how long they've been doing it, but tradition says you're to leave a bouquet of flowers at a door. Well, if there's a time when people needed a little pick-me-up and we were needing to focus on other things besides what's going on around us, it is today, it is now. So what you're going to do is you're going to go to church Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, one of those days, pick you up one or two of these. Got a little cone here, a little basket to put the flowers in. Everything will be at church. They'll be tied up. Have this little card on it. You can leave your name, your phone number on there. Tell them, if they need somebody to talk to, or if they need something, we're available for them. It gives church times, drive-in times, got our address, and then you could just put your name and phone number on there as well, and they contact you. And then maybe you could take care of that need if this person has one. Maybe they just need somebody to pray with them. On the back, it's got a little bit of encouragement on it as well. So the flowers will be at church. All this will be ready to go. You'll just pick up a little bundle of flowers, drop it in there, and then take it to a door, hang it on the doorknob, knock on that door, and just kind of step away. And maybe they answer, or maybe they see it at a later time, and maybe they contact you, or maybe they stop in and visit the church. That would be wonderful too. So that's what we're doing Thursday, and I'll have them there at church by it's tomorrow, Friday, and Saturday. I'll have them there at church by 11 o'clock or so, before noon for sure. It'll all be ready to go, and you can pick them up. They'll either be outside on the back porch, or maybe in the kitchen there in the gym. So it'll be in one of those two places. So just look for them there, and hope you can pick some up and do some ministry, do some fishing this week, and as we finish out this week. Now let's get to Psalm 127. Continue these psalms of ascent that they might have sang, and probably did sing, to Jerusalem, going up to the temple to worship. Psalm 127 is written by Solomon. So when he talks about some of these things, or we read these verses, you might recognize a few words, and you can say, well, that sounds like Solomon's writing. Well, it is Solomon's writing. He did write this. We're approaching Mother's Day, just a couple of weeks away, or less than that away, and it's interesting that this chapter is about children and about raising your children. The central theme of this chapter is passing down a godly heritage to the next generation. This psalm is dealing with parents, and parents raising up their children, and anybody who would have influence on another person, parents, grandparents, and maybe you just have extended family that you have a good influence on. So let's look at this, verse 1. Unless the Lord builds the house, they labor in vain who build it. Unless the Lord guards the city, the watchman keeps awake in vain. So there you see a couple of words that Solomon, vanity, vanity, everything is. That's Solomon. You recognize that from Ecclesiastes, and here he's talking about vain again. Things are done in vain. Unless the Lord builds your house, it's worthless. Solomon, it doesn't matter how good your military is, it's worthless without God. Unless the Lord builds your house, it's worthless. You can't build, the foundation of your family, of your household, cannot be based upon the Inquirer. It can't be based upon tabloid news. It can't be based upon a magazine article. It's worthless. It's vain. And Solomon says that about the nation as well. He's talking about guards, the watchmen guarding. He says, unless the Lord is doing the watching, it's all in vain. It's all in vain if you're just relying on military. It doesn't matter how good the nation or its leaders are, without God, worthless. Solomon says that. So Solomon talks. He's talking about the family at the first two lines of verse 1, and then he talks about the nation in the second two lines of verse 1. Then he comes to the individual in verse 2. It is vain for you to rise up early, to retire late, to eat the bread of painful labors, for he gives to his beloved even in his sleep. It's vain, it's worthless for you to rise up early, go to bed late, work all in between. Solomon says that's vain. You're up early, you put in the extra time, you fall in bed, you toss and turn because you're all worried about what's going to happen the next. Solomon says it's vain to get up early, vain to retire late, work yourself to the bone on the in-between, eat the bread of painful labors. You're worried. It's painful. You're worried about what's going to happen the next day. You get up. You do it all again. You toss. You turn. You toil. And what good is it? But the last, for he, God, gives to his beloved even in his sleep. If you trust in God, you can sleep at night. You can sleep at night because you've put your life, you've put trust in his hands and not a manufacturing company. You've put your hope and trust in the hands of God and not the government. You've put your hope and trust in the hands of God and not another being, another entity. Let me ask you, how are you sleeping at night? Are you concerned about this crisis that has changed? It will have changed America on some level. It's yet to be seen how big or small this change will actually have on America. It'll have a change on the world as well. Are you concerned about, do these things keep you tossing and turning? Are you concerned about how easy it was for the government to enforce or to place these measures upon you, to say lockdown or self quarantine in home and this, that, or the other? Are you concerned because there's no green beans on the store shelf? Does that concern you? This is America, and we're not supposed to be short of canned goods. No, the stories like that are stories of socialist countries and communism. Do you spend all of your time, do these things keep you up at night because you spend all of your time surfing social media or the news and allowing things to provoke fear in you? Do you even bother to research who posted it, where the post came from? You should. Or do you just naively and gullibly just think it to be truth? Do you just share things and fire things off without ever seeing, where did this originate from? Is there any truth? How does God feel about this? What does he say? What does his word say? What Solomon is saying is God gives peace to those who trust in him, and you don't need to fire things off. You don't have to rely on social media. You don't have to rely on the news. God gives peace to those who trust in him. Verse 3. Behold, children are a gift of the Lord. The fruit of the womb is a reward. We don't see children like this necessarily anymore. We don't really call them a heritage or fruit anymore. But that's what Solomon is saying. Like arrows in the hand of a warrior, so are the children of one's youth. How blessed is the man whose quiver is full of them. They will not be ashamed when they speak with their enemies in the gate. Solomon says children are a gift from God, and they need to be built up on a godly foundation. Children are not built on this foundation of God, they will be lost, and this nation will go with them. If they're not built on God, they will be lost, and this nation will go with them. Notice Solomon talks about arrows, a few things about arrows. Arrows have to have a straight shaft. The point has to be sharp. The fletching on the arrow has to be right alignment to give it that spin, so it has the right impact. It does the right amount of damage. God gives you a child so you can influence them, so you can shape them and shape them for His glory. Solomon says your military doesn't matter, your house doesn't matter, your job doesn't matter. If you lose the next generation, it will make no difference. Our greatest accomplishment in life is building a generation on the truth of God. Every child is a gift from God, and we have the responsibility to raise them on His truth. But the sad thing is, in our day and time, and it has been for a long time, here in America, the sad truth is we don't value children very much. And we can see that because 3,000 a day of them are aborted. Verse 5. How blessed is the man whose quiver is full of them. They will not be ashamed when they speak with their enemies in the gate. When you are true to God's truth, when you are true to God's truth, they won't put you to shame. When you've raised them on that truth, they won't put you to shame. Do you know why Solomon wrote this? Because he failed at it. He failed at it. Solomon messed up. But he's like, I want to leave some words with you. I want to leave some encouraging words with you. Solomon says, build your children on the things of God. Other people that you can influence, build them on the things of God. And when you do that, you and they can stand up to anything or anyone. Solomon had trouble with it. We have trouble with it at times. But God needs to be our foundation. The truth of God needs to be our foundation. When it is, you and they will be able to stand up to anything or anyone. Amen. I hope you have a good rest of the week. I hope you can find something enjoyable and uplifting to be involved in the rest of this week. And I hope you do a little fishing. Maybe you do a lot of fishing. Hope you come up with a creative way for yourself to be fishing this week. Fishing for men. We talked about that last week, last Sunday. And speaking of Sunday, I hope to see you this Sunday at Drive-In Church, 10:30. Cars start parking at 10. We look forward to seeing you then. I hope you're enjoying the Drive-In Church. Hope you're having a good time there. We're making the best we can out of a bad situation. And that Drive-In Church is going pretty good. I enjoy it. It's getting us through. It's just enough to get us by, to have that connection with one another. And it's nice to see you there every Sunday. Thank you so much for being so faithful. Y'all have been so faithful in attending and giving. I just cannot thank you enough for your faithfulness in these times. So again, thank you very much. Love you and look forward to seeing you Sunday. God bless you.